Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to our Call Me Anne, the Ann Richards rock opera music video premiere. My name is Megan Weaver. I'm the director of this show and of the music video, and I'm really excited to be able to share this work with you tonight in this pretty unusual format, especially for theater people. We're really accustomed to performing live, obviously, in front of an audience. That's sort of, the definition of what we do. And at the same time, it's been really cool and interesting in the last year to be able to innovate and discover new ways of sharing storytelling in digital form while we're keeping everybody safe. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in and being part of this really exciting moment for this show. I joined this project in 2019 as the director of our Houston Fringe Festival premiere of the full show. But the project actually began several years before I came along. It started in 2015 as a concept album, really more like a handful of songs and an idea. And over the course of almost 5 years, it has grown from 7 or 8 songs to 35, several of which were written over Skype meetings in the last year, or Zoom meetings in the last year. And this past year, we were planning on doing a fully fledged, fully funded production of the live show, Call Me Anne. Obviously, live theater came to a standstill in 2020, and we had to pivot and change plans. But we had the wonderful problem of having a grant, right? We had this grant from the Houston Arts Alliance, who we are very grateful to for enabling us to use the funds that were originally intended for a live show to be able to instead produce a cast album of this incredible music and the music video that we're about to share with you tonight. So theater people are great at innovating, pivoting, improvising for sure. And it's been actually a very bonding experience with the creative team to be able to continue to figure out how to tell this story under these constraints. Before I go too much further, our goal tonight really is to be able to, oh, pardon me, we're having some technical stuff. One moment. Okay, I'm gonna tap dance a little bit until I get the go ahead. So hello everybody, I'm Megan Weaver. I'm the director of Call Me Anne, and I'm delighted to be with you this evening. Should I go ahead and begin again? Thank you for everybody understanding as we figure things out. Okay, great. I'm just gonna start over. If I repeat myself, hey, great, actually, that means I remembered what I said in the first place. Okay, welcome to the Call Me Anne rock opera music video premiere. We are here to share with you the music video and the cast album that we created over the last year for this show about Ann Richards. Obviously, this is not the original plan. We're a bunch of theater people, and we came together to create a live show of the full rock opera, all 35 songs, all 90 minutes of this story. With the pandemic, obviously, we're not able to do that, but we had the wonderful dilemma of having some funding. We got a grant from the Houston Arts Alliance in 2020 for the production, which came from our 2019 Fringe show at the Houston Fringe. So this project has been a long time coming, and in 2020, when we couldn't do the full production, we asked ourselves, so what else could we do with this grant money that helps get Anne's story out there, helps get this project out there, and we decided to use that money to make a cast album. So the album is being mixed as we speak. It is due for release within weeks, and so we're really excited to share that with you and to share the music video that we created for just one of those songs with you tonight. Call Me Anne began as a concept album, a handful of songs with the notion of telling the story of Ann Richards through rock and roll. It started in 2015, and over the last 5.5 years, it has grown from 7 or 8 songs to 35 songs. And several of those were written over the last year as we have been collaborating and developing the story. So before I go any further, I have noticed since I joined the project 2 years ago, that anytime I tell people that I'm directing a show about Ann Richards, oftentimes their first response is to tell me their story about Ann Richards. A lot of us, not me, but a lot of us met her, knew her. She was a member of the community and a stay-at-home mom for 20 years before she entered politics. And a lot of people knew her as a neighbor, member of the PTA. They ran into her at the grocery store. She was around. She was just part of the community. And she had a great social life. She threw fabulous parties. Other people know her because they worked for her. They campaigned for her. They may have worked for her while she was in office. And others may have attended rallies or seen her from afar or just seen her on TV. Or like me, maybe your first introduction to Ann was via the internet. But since we don't get the benefit of being able to interact with you live tonight in person, I want to invite you, if you have an Ann Richards story of your own, whatever it might be, feel free to drop that in the comments. I can see your comments, and I might even get the opportunity to highlight one or two of your stories as the evening progresses. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce a couple of the actors who are in our show. It's a terrific cast of 6 women. It's an all-female cast playing all the roles. Not all the roles are female, so we're having a lot of fun sort of subverting stereotypes with our casting. And I'm going to introduce Mara McGee, who plays the soldier, and Christy Odom, who plays George W. Bush. Both of those ladies will tell you more about those roles, but real quick, the soldier is sort of the audience's representative on stage. We begin the show not with Ann Richards in the 80s and 90s, but in the present day with a soldier at Guantanamo who's looking around at the situation, recognizing what she's being ordered and asked to do in her role, and questioning how we got to this place globally. What decisions, what were the initial sort of domino effect that led to this point. So yes, those 2 ladies have created some video intros for you. And then following that, we are going to share a production slideshow with you from the Houston Fringe Festival production in 2019. All right, let's go to Mara.
Hello, my name is Mara McGee, and I play the soldier along with several other roles in Call Me Ann, including Claytie in Claytie and the Lady, and some drunken dinner guests and other characters that show up in the show. The soldier is important to the story because the soldier kind of bookends why we are telling this story. They look around and she sees that she is torturing people in Guantanamo Bay, and that is awful. And she takes a step back to think about what in the world happened. How did the United States of America get to this point in our country? So because of that, then we hear about the whole election and the history between Ann Richards and all of the other yahoos that were also political figures in Texas at the time. So one of my favorite parts of the show, well, the whole show is absolutely amazing. I have loved working with an amazing group of talented women and the band, and having this story told as a non-Texas native. It was kind of new for me, so hearing about all of this was really, really interesting and eye-opening, and getting to tell this story has been a lot of fun. I love performing in front of that band. That band is so good, and they make us look so good and sound so good. So singing with this talented group of people and telling this story using musical theater and a rock opera is just a dream come true. So thank you so much. And remember, your name is Ann Richards too.
Hi y'all, my name is Christy Odom, and I sing and play the role of George W. Bush in Call Me Ann, the Ann Richards rock opera. George Bush had a pretty critical role in this rock opera because he beat Ann Richards when she was running for her second term as governor. And it kind of came as a shock to most people because, of her high ratings and likability. And of course, she was just an all-around badass lady. She did not think very highly of George W. Bush and pretty much thought he was a bumbling idiot. So it was a lot of fun being able to play somewhat the comic relief of the show and really being silly and fun with his role. I would say performance and singing wise though, I was also part of the chorus, and one of my favorite songs is Ugly Dog. That song is in the time when she was county commissioner and she was on a job site, and some of the men were poking fun and had named an ugly dog Ann Richards. But of course, being the no-nonsense woman she is, did not get offended and really just kind of played it off and held her own, and just really could show that she could run with the boys and she could get the job done. The song is upbeat and rock and roll. It's fun to sing. The choreography in the show was fantastic, and so it was so much fun to dance to as well. And it was just such a high energy part of the rock opera that it was just my favorite and a lot of fun to do. All of it was fun to do, truth be told. So we're really excited with this album, and I can't wait for everyone to buy it and listen to it. It's fantastic. And so hopefully you'll get to see the show soon too. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, y'all, and we'll see you around. Bye.
Thank you, Mara and Christy. So we're having some technical difficulties while we're trying to route people to this stream. So we're going to pause for just a moment. Well, not pause, but we are waiting on a few people to be able to join us. So I want to give a little bit of history. If you're not familiar with Ann Richards, a little bit of an unauthorized bio from yours truly. Ann Richards was born in the Depression and grew up in a small town in Texas. I believe Lakeview, Lacey is where she's from. And she married her high school sweetheart and had 4 children. She loved politics. She was a member of the political scene. She hosted lots of parties and fundraisers, and she was very involved with sort of political efforts. But she didn't actually run for office herself until her kids were grown, and she decided to run for county commissioner. County commissioner is not a very glamorous job. And if you know anything about Ann Richards, if you've seen pictures of her, she was, shall I say, groomed. She had this beautiful white coif of hair, pearls, beautiful makeup. She was very genteel. She was also extremely funny, extremely smart, and she was very no nonsense. She had no problem getting down and dirty. She had no problem doing the hard work. And she was very practical and pragmatic, which is such a terrific blend. It's so very Texas. And she nailed it as county commissioner and moved on to run for state treasurer. While she was running the treasury, by the way, just to note, Texas, if it was a country unto itself, would be the 10th largest economy in the world. So being the treasurer of Texas is no small thing. And Texas was running a deficit at the time. This was in the 70s. And Anne was told that she couldn't effectively run her department, run her staff, and manage Texas finances with a diverse team that actually reflected and represented the people of Texas. This was 40 plus years ago, and close to 50 years ago now. And just to show how progressive and courageous Anne was, she insisted on staffing her team at the Treasury with people who reflected the people of Texas. So there were people of all races. There were lots of women working for her. And she brought Texas into the black in those 4 years. She brought us from deficit to surplus using what she called no nonsense or common sense financial techniques that any good housewife knows about. We actually have a really fantastic song in the show called Any Good Housewife that covers her time as treasurer, where she's saying, look, any good housewife could do what I do. You just have to understand how how to manage your money. So from there, she. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting messages here. Okay, just let me know. Just let me know, friends, what we should do. So in 1988, Anne was invited to give the keynote speech at the Democratic National Convention in Atlanta. And that speech is what catapulted her into national and international fame because her blend of humor, her sense of humor, and her absolutely spot-on analysis of the current political situation was such a potent combination. And she was so able to use laughter and truth together that she just became a star right away. And that moment is the moment right before our music video takes place. She decided to run for governor, sort of running on that sort of momentum from that speech. She decided to run for governor. And that governor race has so many parallels to recent national politics in America. It's really, really interesting to look back. She obviously was a female candidate, middle-aged, divorced, recovering alcoholic. So they weren't skeletons in the closet. She was open about all of this and very transparent about it. But these things were used against her. However, her opponent, Clayton Williams, was a Texas oil billionaire. He had no political experience, no background, but he was very financially successful and well off. He self-funded his own campaign. He was very prone to gaffes, sexist and racist offhand comments that he thought would play well and that did not, that grossly backfired on him. But even with that, it was still a tough race because we're running a female liberal candidate and this is Texas. And so, yes, I'm getting the messages that people are having trouble. We are chatting in the other stream. So people have been misdirected to the wrong YouTube stream. We're really sorry about that. So we are chatting in that stream and trying to direct you over here. So welcome, new folks. Yay. Okay, all of the old folks from the old YouTube are coming in. Thank you. Welcome. We're so excited that you're here. And if you missed the beginning of this, this will be available at this link going forward. Yay, everyone's here. Hooray, hooray. This will be available so you can go back and catch the beginning up until my biography of Ann Richards, which I will now continue. So the campaign against Clayton Williams was very cutthroat. There were some dirty tactics used, and also just some very mean statements, which obviously in politics is going to happen. But yeah, Anne really had her hands full up against this political opponent. But the thing that did him in wasn't the gaffes, wasn't the sexism, wasn't the inexperience. It was that he hadn't paid taxes. And there was a tax scandal about him being an oil billionaire who hadn't actually paid his fair share. And Texans do not appreciate having that level of unfairness. Just because you're rich doesn't mean you're off the hook for taxes. And no one likes paying taxes. So arguably, sort of the theory and the analysis, or the commonly held belief, is that that was the clincher that sort of tipped Anne into the winning position there. Welcome, everyone. I'm super glad everyone's here. Hi, Christy. I'm sorry you missed it. We played your video and it was fantastic. So we're glad you're here. Yes, so Anne won the governorship and she was governor from 1990 to 1994, at which point she met her next political opponent, a young man by the name of George W. Bush. Also a person with no political experience, although he obviously has a family history. And that race was also really interesting, has a lot of very powerful parallels to today, and she lost. So It's a pretty incredible arc from housewife to governor of the 10th largest economy in the world, and a really devastating loss, not just for Anne, obviously, but for the state, for the country. And I think that our show sort of exists as a sort of what could have been. You know, it asks the question, what did we miss out on by not reelecting Anne to a second term, by not defeating George W. in his first political race? And how could the world be different had that race gone differently? Hello, I'm seeing questions about how to catch this from the beginning. This link that you're on right now, when we finish the live stream, the video will stay here and you can just rewind back to the beginning and catch what you missed at the top. So thank you everybody for staying with us, and let's go ahead and share our production slideshow with you.
An ugly dog, what's its name?
Her name is Anne Richards.
Well, boys, we'll get along just fine. My name is Anne Richards, too.
Her name is Anne Richards. Her name is Anne Richards. Are you here to clean house and take names while holding your nose?
No, boys, you're here for the same thing I am.
To fix the roads.
I like the look of that bulldog's teeth. Thinks she can dig in just like me. I bet she can hang on a real long time. And that tough old girl's got a real tough hide.
Her name is Anne Richards. Her name is Anne Richards.
Hey, boys, that's an ugly dog. What's its name?
Her name is Anne Richards.
Well, boys, we'll get along just fine. My name is Anne Richards, too.
Her name is Anne Richards. Her name is Anne Richards. Are you here to clean house and take names while holding your nose?
No, boys, you're here for the same thing I am.
To fix the roads.
I like the look of that bulldog's teeth. Thinks she can dig in just like me. Bet she can hang on a real long time. And that old bitch has got a real tough hide.
Her name is Anne Richards. Her name is Anne Richards. Her name is Anne Richards.
My name is Anne Richards, too.
Okay, yay! That was, those were photos from our 2019 premiere production at the Houston Fringe Festival. If you are joining us late, for context, Call Me Anne. I'm going to repeat myself a little bit, and we're going to go back a little bit for those who missed the beginning. So my name is Megan Weaver. Hello, welcome. Hugs to all, and thank you for being here very much. I'm the director of Call Me Anne. I've been with the project since 2019, so I can't believe it's been 2 years almost. But actually the project began several years before that in 2015 as a concept album, bringing rock and roll and Anne Richards together. And it's grown from 7 or 8 songs to a full 35-song rock opera, 90 minutes long, covering the whole story from Anne's beginnings as a housewife all the way through her governorship and her loss to George W. So we're really happy that you're here. I know that this is a pretty unusual format for a theater show. Obviously, we've sort of adapted. We're used to that by now at this point in the pandemic. But it's also really great to be able to share this with you live because we were originally planning to do a fully funded production in 2020. The Fringe show was sort of skeletal, no set, sort of find your own costume sort of thing. It was very DIY. It looks fantastic because we did it at the Match Center in Houston, which is a fantastic facility. But our original plan was with the funds from a Houston Arts Alliance grant, we were going to do a full show last year. Obviously, we couldn't do that. So instead, we have created a cast album, which will be released in a few weeks, and a music video that we are premiering this evening. So I've got a couple of actors who've created some video intros to their characters and to tell you a little bit about their experience on the show. And so let's go ahead and go to Mara McGee, who plays the soldier.
Hello, my name is Mara McGee, and I play the soldier along with several other roles in Call Me Anne, including Claytie in Claytie and the Lady, and some drunken dinner guests and other characters that show up in the show. The soldier is important to the story because the soldier kind of bookends why we are telling the story. They look around and she sees that she is torturing people in Guantanamo Bay, and that is awful. And she takes a step back to think about what in the world happened. How did the United States of America get to this point in our country? So because of that, then we hear about the whole election and the history between Ann Richards and all the other yahoos that were also political figures in Texas at the time. So one of my favorite parts of the show, well, the whole show is absolutely amazing. I have loved working with an amazing group of talented women and the band, and having this story told as a non-Texas native. It was kind of new for me, so hearing about all of this was really, really interesting, eye-opening, and getting to tell this story has been a lot of fun. I love performing in front of that band. That band is so good, and they make us look so good and sound so good. So singing with this talented group of people and telling this story using musical theater and a rock opera is just a dream come true. So thank you so much. And remember, your name is Ann Richards too.
Hi y'all, my name is Chrissy Odom, and I sing and play the role of George W. Bush in Call Me Anne, the Ann Richards rock opera. George Bush had a pretty critical role in this rock opera because he beat Ann Richards when she was running for her second term as governor. And it kind of came as a shock to most people because, of her high ratings and likability, and of course she was just an all-around badass lady. She did not think very highly of George W. Bush and pretty much thought he was a bumbling idiot. So it was a lot of fun being able to play somewhat the comic relief of the show and really being silly and fun with his role. I would say performance and singing wise though, I was also part of the chorus, and one of my favorite songs is Ugly Dog. That song is in the time when she was county commissioner and she was on a job site, and some of the men were poking fun and had named an ugly dog Ann Richards. But of course, being the no-nonsense woman she is, did not get offended and really just kind of played it off and held her own, and just really could show that she could run with the boys and she could get the job done. The song is upbeat and rock and roll. It's fun to sing. The choreography in the show was fantastic, and so it was so much fun to dance to as well. And it was just such a high energy part of the rock opera that it was just my favorite and a lot of fun to do. All of it was fun to do, truth be told. So we're really excited with this album, and I can't wait for everyone to buy it and listen to it. It's fantastic. And so hopefully you'll get to see the show soon too. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, y'all, and we'll see you around. Bye.
All right, thanks, Mara and Christy. And now we're going to go ahead and show a bit that our creator, Jake Goldstein, has created or recorded for you about his inspiration for why tell this story at all, and specifically why talk about or tell the story of Ann Richards through rock opera. So take it away, Jake.
So one of the things we're going to talk about tonight a little bit is, how did a rock opera about Ann Richards come about? And, it started with just the idea of rock opera. I think rock operas are great. They have so much energy. They tell a story. They have characters. And I love rock operas. But, some of the earliest rock operas, Tommy, they were kind of narcissistic, right? They were about they're a rock star or some kind of, the first person, and they're stuck in somebody's mind. And so I didn't want to do that. I want to do something a little more active, something that other people can relate to. And I was a big fan of Lou Reed and John Cale have one about Andy Warhol, and the Drive-By Truckers have one about Leonard Skinner. And I just thought the idea of historical biography, rock opera, that seemed really fun to me. And Ann Richards is fun. So she's just such a great character. She has so many great stories within her own story. Politically, she was the last Democratic governor in the state of Texas, and Texas had been Democratic uninterrupted for 100 years. And there's a lot of history in that about why that happened and everything, but there's a very interesting story in there that I liked. Also, she was this amazing character. She was an alcoholic who, through these crazy parties with all the Cosmic Cowboys and the Austin scene in the 70s, and then in the 80s, she went to rehab when she was a county commissioner. She kind of snuck out so nobody would know that she was going, and went to rehab and was a reformed alcoholic the rest of her life. She was originally a political wife. She only started running herself after she'd worked on a bunch of other women's campaigns. And she intersected with a lot of interesting people there. Sarah Weddington, who basically was responsible for Roe v. Wade. She'd run her campaign. And so she had this amazing network of other women in Texas and in Austin, this political network. And she only ran for county commissioner after her husband turned down the nomination. So all these kind of happy accidents led her to where she was. And she crossed paths with all these amazing characters. Ross Perot, Molly Ivins, George Bush, Karl Rove, and we play with that. We make them a couple, kind of in musical theater terms. They're the second couple in the play. There's some great ironies. She signed the bill that George Bush gave George Bush his baseball stadium, so that he needed a baseball stadium for the Rangers. She signed the bill that let him take it. And then he uses that baseball fame to run against her a few years later for governor. So, and he wins, and, U.S. history has changed because he goes on, of course, to become president. So sort of the ironies and the alternative histories about what if Ann had won a second term, I just thought were really interesting. And she's such a great character in herself, because she was very personable. She was funny. She was rock and roll. So she was easy. She was fun to write about. It was a good fit. And our team's been working on this now for a few years, refining it, adding more songs, adding more people to the team. You're going to see some of their work tonight. And some of what you see tonight is pre-COVID. We'd staged it before. Some of what you'll see is there's a music video that we're premiering tonight for Claytie and the Lady, about her original 1990 election against Clayton Williams, who was a kind of a pre-Trump character in himself. And then some of it you'll see what we worked on during COVID, like the video. We have a music album coming soon, and post-COVID, we hope to return to the stage and put this on as a live rock opera. Once again, the way it really should be, and the way rock music should be experienced. So thank you all for coming out tonight virtually. We hope to see you in person soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. That is so fabulous and awesome. I always love hearing Jake's perspective on Texas history. There's so many interconnected, interwoven elements and facts, and it's been really amazing over 2 years to watch Jake weave all of that together into this really amazing unified piece of theater. So next up, we're going to share a video from another of our actors, Angela, who plays Molly Ivins, the legendary Molly Ivins. Molly was a journalist, a columnist. She was a humorist and one of the most famous print journalists in the country. Her column was syndicated in most of the 50 states, I do believe. And if you haven't read her, do look her up. She's really, really incredible. And there's actually a great documentary about her recently that came out as well called Raise Hell. So Angela will introduce our next song that we're going to share with you as well. A quick caveat about the song. It was from our 2019 Fringe production, and the quality is not great. So we subtitled it so that you can follow along with the words. But I do think the energy in the story comes through really well. Secondly, that song, after Angela's video, may not be suitable for kids. There's some foul but very funny language. You've been warned. Okay, let's cut to Angela.
Hi, I'm Angela Panina, and I play Molly Ivins. And preparing for the role of Molly Ivins, I watched the documentary Raise Hell, The Life and Times of Molly Ivins, which I highly recommend to anyone and everyone. It's very enlightening, and Molly Ivins is a force that is just powerful, and she is not gonna let anybody tear her down. And when I need to feel like a badass in my life, I try to channel Molly Ivins for empowerment. And I have to say, as far as the show goes, I have two favorite songs. They tie. I can't just choose one. Cocktale Party is my favorite. I love, the lyrics are amazing, but I like the message that Anne wasn't gonna let her stance change no matter where she was or what she was doing. Like, this is who she is, and she was true to it, and I love that, and it's very inspiring. And then my other favorite song is Claytie and the Lady, because I love singing a duet with Alli Villines any freaking day of the week, and that song is so much fun to perform. So I hope you enjoy this music video. The production team worked very hard, and we are so excited to show it to the world.
Basically, the whole team considers that our finest accomplishment in art and life. So there you go. Just gives me joy every time. All right. So up next, we have a very special guest with us this evening. The woman who made all of this possible, both in terms of our production and in terms of our story. We have our beautiful Alli Villines as Ann Richards here to perform More Right Than Wrong. A little context for this song. More Right Than Wrong is Ann's song after she decides to run for county commissioner. It's her first decision to put herself out there and to go for it as far as becoming a political figure. And the song is really sort of her promise to the people if they elect her. Okay, take it away, Alli.
No one ever calls me Dorothy, that's my name, but call me Ann. When I was 5, then I decided, still so little, but I like my middle name, doesn't tell you much. Faces still can lie. A vote for me is a vote for you. I promise that I will try. I'll try always to remember I'm here to help, not for myself. There's no one quite like me, and one is quite enough to get things done and keep it clean, to move it all along. We can make this county count a little more right than wrong. A little more right than wrong. Let's tell the good old boys to go ahead and move it along. It's time to try our voice a little more right than wrong. We won't always get it right, but we'll damn sure give it a try. And try and try with all our might. More right than wrong, more might than don't, more try than can't, more will than won't, more right than wrong, more might than don't, more try than can't, more will than won't, more right than wrong, more might than don't, more try than can't, more will than won't, more right than wrong, more might than don't, more try than can't, more will than won't. She's gonna pretend like everybody's clapping.
Hey, Alli, I'm clapping. Also, I sang a little harmony with you back here all by my lonesome. So thank you so much.
Leave me alone.
Oh, are you there? Can you hear me okay?
That was more right than wrong.
Alli, can you hear me?
Is Megan coming back? Okay, so hi, my name is Alli Villines. I played Ann. Actually, yeah, I played Ann. This wig wears me. I don't wear this wig.
Alli, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I cannot hear you.
Okay, all right.
So I don't know if everybody else can hear you. And
That's okay. They might be able to, and this is lots of fun. So Abe, would you go ahead and maybe turn both of us off and then bring us back?
nope. I don't see you or hear you. Sorry.
I see her.
Everybody else sees Megan except me.
Yeah, she's coming through.
Hi, can you hear me? Can you see me? You don't see me?
So maybe we'll just, Megan, you can talk to me through the YouTube.
The audience can see us both. So it's only you that can't see me.
Okay, take it just to Megan, I guess.
That's fine.
Because I can't see her, hear her.
Hi, everybody. The plan was for me to interview Alli right now. So we're going to see if we can make that happen. But real quick, I have a little tidbit about Molly Ivins. Thank you. I see everyone in the comments. We know that YouTube viewers are able to see both of us. Unfortunately, Alli needs to be able to see me too. So we're going to see if we can troubleshoot that a little bit. Our wonderful production manager, Abraham, is working on that. So Molly Ivins called Texas, what did she call it? The National Laboratory for Bad Government. And so much of her amazing contribution was this analysis of sort of how dysfunction in Texas politics often leads to dysfunction in national politics. And I think that that's been a really interesting theme that we've explored in Call Me Anne, that an election in 1994 has a direct impact on politics today, 20, 30 years later. And so I think that that's been a really important element of our storytelling. Little bit about the Ann Richards wig. It was made by a wonderful artist who's, I've lost her name, but it's made by a Houston wig maker out of yak hair, as a matter of fact. And we've done a lot of work with wigs. We've actually worked with a couple of different wigs to try to find the exact right look. So we're really, really excited about this one. And just one moment. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. This is sort of like inviting a live audience to a tech rehearsal, which theater people know is a terrible idea and we should never actually do. The wig maker's name is Heather Warnock, and we are super grateful to her for her craftswomanship, because it really makes all the difference. Okay, I am ready when you are, Abe. Yes, go ahead. Ann Richards, how are you? That was fun. Well, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. So, Alli, you play Anne. You also have been producer on this project over the last couple of years. And you are a vocalist. You've got, a vocal performance background, emphasis on musical theater. Have you ever done punk rock before?
I got my start in bands, like Christian rock bands.
Okay.
So yeah, I grew up singing in the church, and definitely was in my fair share of bands in my teen years. And but yeah, my training and background is classical and musical theater.
Okay, awesome. So then, and also, you're in your 30s, and Richards, as we portray her, we cover her whole story. We cover her from her 20s into her 60s, but primarily in her 50s. So you're using rock and roll, which is a totally different vocal performance style. You're playing a character who does not is not obvious as far as a rock and roll persona, who's a very different age from you. And there's so many things that you are integrating into this performance. Can you just tell us a little bit about what that's like?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me that Ann Richards would be a rock star, because I mean, she was, so it wasn't a far leap for me from the research that I did. And I mean, anybody who watches her DNC 1988 DNC video knows that this woman is equivalent with Mick Jagger, or she
yes.
She is a rock star. She just doesn't sing. As far as we know, she probably did sing.
She probably did.
So it wasn't a far leap to me. Now I mean, I know she's the main part where we really highlight her political career, she's older. But I really, from the very first rehearsal, before it was even a stage show, from the first rehearsal, I just kind of felt like, oh, there's a lot here. There's a show here. There's definitely a story. This woman is amazing. She's fascinating. She is a character, just like Jake said. And I just really wanted to tell the story, and it just so happened to be through punk rock opera. And yeah, that's a little stretch for me, but I mean, what are artists if not people who stretch.
Completely. Well, you nail it. You absolutely rock it. I think that, I mean, I relate similarly. Like when you first told me about this, I'm part of this show because Alli invited me to be part of this show. And when you first told me about it, you said a rock opera about Ann Richards. I said, okay. And I Googled Ann Richards and I went, what? Well, actually, no. First I went, oh my gosh, how have I not heard of this woman? She's incredible. And then second, I was like, huh? And then you sent me a Google document of about 25 or 30 pages of just solid lyrics. There's no dialogue. And I was like, holy crap, this whole thing is sung. Every word of this show is sung. And it's been a really fun challenge to sort of translate what was originally meant to be purely a listening experience into like a performance experience and an acting experience. So, yeah. Well, why do you think that Ann Richards' story is so resonant today? Like for you, why do you think it's important that we're still talking about her right now?
Oh, I feel like, so, and Molly Ivins said this way better than I'm going to say it, but Texas is a microcosm of the United States. So generally, what happens in Texas, maybe like 5 or 10 years later, so goes the country, generally. So I just feel like, I think back to like the recent freeze, right? And, you know, no power, no water, all the things, right? And, but I'm like scrolling on Twitter and everyone is saying how they wish Ann was here or they wish Molly Ivins was here. These women really have staying power, not just because they were, the only word that's coming to mind is flamboyant. They weren't flamboyant, but they were just larger than life.
Yeah, larger than life.
Yeah, larger than life. And politicians do have to be a certain amount of that. But what I think makes Ann really stick and stay, besides the hair, because this is fabulous, was just she believed that the room, everything can only be improved with more perspectives in the room.
Yeah.
She wanted to bring women in. She wanted to bring people of color in. She wanted to bring different voices. And it's like Texas made a really great choice and could have been set on a path, and then Texas made a really poor choice. And I think that's a really interesting thesis. Our show is an interesting thesis. Like Guantanamo Bay, like how did we get here?
Yeah.
Well, if Ann Richards had beat George W. in that gubernatorial race in Texas, maybe we wouldn't be here. Yeah. I don't know, but it's a very interesting thought.
Well, we'll never know, unfortunately. But I sort of think of Ann as sort of in politics. If politics were a love story, Ann is the one who got away. Like she's the one that we let go because we weren't ready for her. We weren't mature enough for her brilliance and we couldn't handle it, you know, and we took her for granted. And I feel like our show is really a love song to her. And using rock and roll is so different. I mean, there's already a one-woman show about her, which is brilliant, by Holland Taylor. There's a couple of documentaries about her. You know, she is definitely part of the culture. But I feel like our show offers something different in interpreting her story through rock and roll and also through the lens of the soldier to say, well, what does this mean for us today? And what can we learn from this? And what can we take from it? You know, she really is the reason that, well, not the only reason, but she, you know, rising to prominence in the 80s and being so progressive way before anybody around her was ready for it, has laid the groundwork for some of the really phenomenal female leaders that we have today, who are successfully rising to national prominence and who are leading the way. And I think that's a really amazing part of her legacy. So it's lovely to work with you on this project. Thank you for inviting me to direct it. And let's go ahead and get down to the fun part. I mean, we've already been having fun, but let's get to the culmination. We are going to share the music video of Claytie and the Lady. This song happens at the end of Act 1. It's the climax, really, of the show. It's sort of the mid to 2/3 of the way through when Anne decides to run for governor and faces off with Clayton Williams, who is quite a larger-than-life character with some sort of uncomfortable parallels to a recent former president who shall not be named. Okay, let's do it. Claytie and the Lady. Let's go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Buenas noches, mis amigos. I'm delighted to be here with you this evening because after listening to George Bush all these years, I figured you needed to know what a real Texas accent sounds like.
Claytie, just relax. It'll all be over soon. We'll send you back under the rock you came from in your old Stone Age. Don't care about the polls, but oh, that handshake, I tell you, it's like Texas weather. It's going to change just like Texas weather. It's gonna be strange. He's a fake cowboy riding off course. Too dumb to kiss the girl, he kissed the horse. You don't have to vote for this phony honking goose. That's one bad good old boy, there's no excuse. Claytie was leading by double X's, but he reminded women of their no good exes. And he paid no taxes, and he never learned. So now Ann Richards and the ladies have their turn. I tell ya, it's like Texas weather. It's going to change just like Texas weather.
All right. Woo! Yay! I can feel the love through the computer. Thank you, everybody. All right, that concludes our live stream, live premiere party. Thank you, everybody, for being patient with the technical problems. This still is really special to be able to share it with you, even with the snafus. All the videos that you saw tonight, I'm not sure if the actor videos, but all of the other videos that you saw tonight will be available on our YouTube channel. We can talk about the actor videos. Maybe we want to post those too. They're great. We probably, maybe we should. I don't know. They'll be available in some form. This live stream will also be available. So anyway, feel free to share, post, send it to your friends, spread the word. Please follow us on social media. Right down here, you can see our handle, Call Me Ann Rock Opera on Facebook and Instagram. Follow us so that you can get the word when we drop that album. There is more music where that came from, and we really want to share it with you. So please follow us, stay tuned. Album is coming soon. And I really want to thank Abe Zapata for his patience and brilliance behind the scenes tonight, navigating this whole technical setup and helping us produce this premiere this evening. And thank you, Houston Arts Alliance, for helping fund this event and the last year of creative work on Call Me Ann. All right, Allie, you good?
I'm good. Thank y'all all so much. I always sign my emails to this group with "Your name is Ann Richards" too. So if you're inspired by Ann, look up a little more, run for something, campaign for something. Next year is the Texas gubernatorial race. We gotta get Greg Abbott out. So let's all get involved. I kind of want to quote the finale a little bit.
Yeah, I'm having that instinct. Go for it, please.
Go. No, you go ahead.
I may need a little help in the comments, actors. We go, maybe I'll run. Maybe I'll run. It's not something I've ever done, and it doesn't look like too much fun. If I can't run, I'll walk and walk around the block. Talk to the folks who know and talk to the folks who don't. I'm messing it up a little bit. If I can't walk, I'll call and call and call, and I'll make phone calls and volunteer for campaigns.
The time at all must mean something after all.
If I can't call, I'll vote. And then, yeah, so it's run, walk, call, vote. Maybe I'll run.
Yes.
Y'all's name is Ann Richards too.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all for joining us. Have a beautiful evening. Take care.